Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing well, and we're talking about Khaman Maluach, who I think is one of the more underrated players in the draft and should be a pretty easy top 3 to 5 pick. And if I can only show you one play to convince you of this, I would show you this one, where your 7'2", 18-year-old center is moving in space, doing extra rotations, covering ground, communicating with his teammates, sliding down to help, closing out again, closing out again gets back to the paint, stops a drive, and ends up finishing this by forcing a tough pass that Cooper ends up carrying. Like, he is an absurd mover for a guy of his size. I made a video about him earlier in the cycle of his BAL stuff, and he's only improved since then. So drop a like, comment, subscribe if you're enjoying the content, and let me know what you think about Maluach in this video. Not a perfect on-ball defender, as we'll get to. Swipes here on RJ Davis and misses, but he's so gigantic and has the recovery tools to get back into plays, and the way that he just like shuts off the rim, right? He has that thing that all great rim protectors have, where players just don't want to shoot over him because they're afraid of his shot blocking ability. And when they do shoot over him, again, another pass out. When they do shoot over him, it often ends up looking like that, where Maluach just spikes the ball. And watch this 7'2", 18-year-old run the floor and spike this shit with two hands off of the glass. Truly makes some absurd plays. But I think the part of Maluach's defense that has me the most optimistic is the versatility he's already shown as a pick-and-roll defender. Most big men of Maluach's size can only really do deep drop, right? They're parking in the paint. But Maluach is defending basically at the level of the screen. He can test the pass and is still able to flip his hips, recover, and block that shot. We see the mobility and the recovery tools again. And his hands are always active. This is something I noted in the last video of his, but watch his hands move. It just makes it harder to pass around him. Maluach defends and drop. Later in this possession, he's going to help from the weak side on a drive and spike another shot off of the glass. Like, he is a ridiculous help perimeter weak side defender, something that most 7'2" teenagers simply aren't equipped to do. And another great play and example of his ability to move in space and then park at the rim. Again, defending in, like a medium depth drop here. He's not all the way up at the level, but he's not deep in the paint either. Does a great job just using his size to get through that seal and ends up blocking this shot with his length. And this is one of my favorite plays in the whole video, where Maluach is going to just display some unreal feet and hands in the pick and roll for a 7'2" player. I don't need to keep saying how tall he is. Like, his footwork and positioning are far from perfect. He's often out of position, and his foot placement isn't always perfect, as we'll get to, and he's not the fastest or most fluid in space. But we just look at him in a play like this. First of all, he reacts to this driving threat, cuts it off, reacts to another driving threat towards the middle, cuts that off, and then ends up getting a steal with his really good hands. Like, the way that he's able to be all over the place is very impressive. Now, he's far from a perfect defender. Maluach is not someone you want switching out onto guards as good as he is on the perimeter. Like, he just doesn't have the hips, and he's very reactive to fakes, right? This kind of light jab step gets him opening up all the way this way, opening up an easy driving lane, and his man is able to score right there, right? Maluach, after all, is a 7'2" guy, and even the most mobile bigs of his size, especially ones who are like thick and strong, he's not, obviously has plenty of room to grow as a strength in terms of muscle, but he's already decently filled out for his age. And again, you can see him showing his top foot. Guard's going to easily get around it, and Maluach has to foul right there to recover. And he definitely plays too high up at times. Like, he's going to get burned guarding this dribble handoff, ends up recovering and, contesting the shot. And shout out Sion James, who's just an awesome player. But yeah, Maluach leaning way too far forward, right? He's like almost falling over Raynaud, just gets burnt there, and of course is saved by the help in this situation. But again, just an example of Maluach's limitations as an on-ball defender at this point. I think it's notable how much Duke asks him to guard in space. Like, they will switch him out onto guards fairly easily, right? They're running a little off-ball action, and instead of Proctor fighting through, which he probably pretty easily could have, They just pass it off. They say Maluach are going to take the perimeter, Proctor's going to switch onto this guy, and we're going to live with it. Maluach definitely gets burnt, gives up the middle, but the help defense is there, and Maluach is able to recover and block the shot. So part of his struggles as a switch defender, I think, are scheme related. If there's one major tools related concern, because his tools are obviously phenomenal, but Maluach isn't the twitchiest guy in the world. His recognition is really good. He notices that Knipple is getting beat, and before Knipple's man even turns the corner, Maluach is reacting and sliding down. But he's just not that twitchy. He's definitely fluid and can get off the floor pretty quickly, but he doesn't have that kind of explosive twitch to cover short areas as fast as some elite bigs. And you can see his ability to defend on the perimeter, and he just fouls a lot. I mean, that's very common for young bigs. This is really impressive, right? Sliding, cutting off the baseline, flipping his hips, and just like we've said before, leaning too far forward, getting into this player's space. That's an incredible shot right there. But just a lot of rookie freshman stuff, right? And he's going to get driven through at times by bigger and stronger players. Maluach just not nearly low enough. This offensive player can easily generate leverage and get through Maluach's chest and score on him. But I don't think any of this strength stuff is so damning that it can't be fixed by just kind of bulking up and maturing and aging. Again, he's trying to stop this post player from getting position and ends up fouling before he can even get the ball. So freshman stuff, right? The stuff that we see most freshman bigs struggle with. Offensive boards can be an issue, right? He's in decent position here, but a smaller player kind of pushes him off, grabs the board, and Maluach fouls on that play right there. Maluach again trying to go for the offensive board. I think one of the things I like about Maluach is how good he is at sitting down on shots. He's not an overly jumpy player. A lot of bigs will just jump at everything. Maluach isn't like that, but he does jump here at a kind of weak pump fake. Ends up giving up an and one after giving up the offensive rebound. Very much a concern to note and something to pay attention to. But Maluach, again, just back to his ability to guard on the perimeter. Sometimes it does work out when he just sits on an island against these quick guards. Jalen Lowe of Pitt, very quick guard. Maluach is able to sit on a lefty driver, forcing him to the right, and Maluach is able to contain and make this a really difficult twisting shot that Lowe isn't able to hit. And this is another one. Just Maluach's ability to be big and to be a presence in the paint, even on these drives. The player right here gets a bit of a step on Maluach, right? But because Maluach is huge and fluid, him being in the area makes the offense's life harder, which of course improves the margin of error. And he's just shown some really impressive stuff. Here he's defending against Janai Broom, arguably the best player in the country. It's him or Cooper Flagg, and Maluach defending on an island, waits for James to come and pick that off. And this one may be even more impressive. He's playing up on Broom. Broom is able to, jab this way and force Maluach to open up a lane, but look at the recovery tools. Maluach guards the spin, puts up a hand without fouling. There's some incredibly impressive moments for Maluach as a perimeter defender this year, even though there are a lot of bad moments. But when the attacker isn't a really quick player, and Maluach can sag off and use his length and his size and his fluidity, even though his footwork isn't great at this point, his feet can be all over the place. They can come too close. Even in a play like this, we see him leaning on a turn and chase more than a slide. But Maluach can get away with this because of his, mobility and size. And definitely to an extent at the next level, he won't be able to. But the fact that he's already such an impactful, dominant defender at this level while being pretty raw and inexperienced, I think is a great sign for his upside. And Maluach is just one of those shot blockers that makes his presence known, as some of these ridiculous blocks where he'll volleyball spike a shot into the second row or in the backcourt. I love this one against Syracuse where Maluach is just standing in the circle, cannot shoot over him. Any lazy shots around Maluach, they are getting spiked into the backcourt. That is just the kind of defender that Maluach is. He's going to go for blocks, and I think he has a very good sense of when to jump, when not to jump. We see Maluach in a more traditional drop, sitting down, moving backwards, explodes off of that back pedal. You can see he doesn't get up super high off the ground, but he does get up quickly, and when you combine that with his length, makes for a really fearsome shot blocker. And Maluach the majority of the best stuff he does as a player comes on the defensive end, but there's some real stuff on offense as well. And the most notable offensive trait he has is his touch. Maluach has some of the best touch I've seen from a teenage big. He's shooting like 80% at the rim, 74% on half-court layups, and he is a dominant lob threat. And even when Flag throws an inaccurate pass here, Maluach is able to tap and like kind of finesse this ball in. He isn't relying on dunks like a lot of young athletic bigs are, and I think the amount of like touch layup lobs he gets are a really good sign, where even when he's kind of out of area, he's not in the position to dunk the ball, he can hang in the air, softly drop in these layups, and end up scoring. But of course, Maluach, I think he has 52 dunks on the year, can just go up quickly and slam the ball over most people, right? But it's good that Maluach can do this stuff, right? Where offensive rebound tip in, he can't dunk it, so he just kind of gently drops it into the basket. Not a lot of young bigs have this kind of touch consistently, and Maluach really does. We see this a little bit in the post. Maluach is almost exclusively just like a roller offensive rebounder, but great little lefty hook shot right here over a defender using his size and his height and his length, and Maluach kind of almost an offensive rebound, or was that a pass? That was probably it. No, that was definitely a pass. The catch radius for Maluach is crazy. This is another thing that makes him a great lob target, is passer's margin for error is wide, and though Maluach doesn't shoot often, like he has really nice touch on these flashes where he can hit a little mid-range jumper, and Maluach is even willing to take these wide open threes when he gets them, right? Like he's not taking a lot of threes, but when defenses just back off of him, he will shoot them. He shot threes in the Basketball Africa League at camps I've seen, and touch certainly isn't perfect from deep. He misses quite a few of these badly, but his willingness to take them, even on low volume, is good to see. And Maluach definitely not a perfect finisher, as we can see some of the lack of strength and explosion, especially against like double teams in traffic. Sometimes he just like doesn't go up as strong as he should. But again, I think most of these are like young big issues where strength and experience tend to improve. And I guess the main issue with Maluach is like the field, the assist to turnover ratio, which I do agree is a concern, right? I think he has 10 assists on the season to like 18 turnovers. But I don't think it's a passing issue as much as a role issue. Like Maluach, the right decision for Maluach is almost always to go up and shoot, given how big and effective of a scorer he is. He gets stripped right here. But Maluach, I don't think is like a total black hole as much as the numbers suggest, because, again, yes, Maluach probably could kick out to Cooper Flag for a wide open three here, but why would he do that when he shoots 80% at the rim and he just grabs the offensive rebound, right? I think context is important when looking at stats like this, and Maluach, again, a play like this, where he probably could have gone up. One, I think just doesn't go up very strong. Probably could have kicked it out to the corner here to Knipple for a wide open three, but I love how relentless he is on the offensive glass, follows his own miss, ends up getting fouled right there. So I'm not overly concerned about Maluach's playmaking stuff. I just wanted to show this clip because I thought it was funny. This is probably a travel... And Maluach definitely needs, doesn't do really anything as a handler. He's shown some handling stuff in the past that, like, I think Basketball Without Borders camp maybe is what I'm thinking of. But Maluach, just because of the size and the touch and the coordination, I think there's potential for him to develop on offense in ways that are unexpected. And of course, defensively, he's a star prospect. I think while he's not perfect by any means, I think his like feel and awareness and stuff are pretty damn good for a player of his age and experience level. Most freshman bigs struggle in a lot of the areas that Maluach struggles, and obviously his advantages, his physical tools, his mobility are pretty ridiculous. Combined with the touch, there are enough special traits here so we're betting on Maluach as a top pick in this draft as a legit defensive anchor who can provide real offensive value as a play finisher, a screener, a rebounder, and maybe something else if the shot, comes along and his future team invests in that. But let me know what you think of Maluach and what you thought of this video. And again, likes, subscribes, comments would all be super appreciated. I love you all.